All right. So here we are. We're back. We're being consistent. Chris, I know you're in the car because we've just had like an influx of moments where we've had to adapt lately. So that's exactly what we're doing, right? um,
But I'm here. But
yeah,
I'm here.
exactly.
That's all that
Yeah.
matters.
And so we're sticking
So,
to it. We're keeping it
yeah,
coming. We're just having to do things. We're adapting. Yeah.
yeah.
So Chris is on the road. He's dropping off things because production crew needed some extra hands, and that's just kind of what we do. All hands on deck. I think some of our people out there who may watch this may feel the same way about their business at
Yep.
times. So
Do what you got to do sometimes. I think you start your day like this is my agenda. But the key is when you're forced to adapt, do it and do it with a good attitude. You know what?
why do you gotta
Oh
do
man,
that?
like this isn't what I planned on doing, but it's what's necessary.
Hmm.
Let me just do it. Have a positive attitude. Let's get it
Hmm.
done. So
Speaking of
yeah. So
attitude, somebody said to me
yeah.
recently. I think they were sharing a quote from some famous guy. I can't. I don't want to misquote who it belongs to, but basically they
Hmm.
say that life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely, absolutely.
which kind of goes into
And
what
I
we were
think,
talking about before.
yeah, I mean, and that's what I always go to. Those things are free. Your attitude and your response to something doesn't cost a thing. I don't know. I think I'm gonna beat that into every single
That's good.
broadcast that we
I've
do.
never heard that. I
Yeah, I
honestly never
mean,
heard that. That's free. Your attitude is free. Like
yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, and what I
it
like
doesn't
about it
cost
is,
you anything.
how it
Except it
doesn't,
could cost
and
you
that's
everything.
right. I mean, that's true. So you remember a couple years ago, we were kind of doing our pillars. We called it our code of honor.
Yeah.
And we said attitude is altitude because it is what will take you to wherever you want to go,
Yeah.
or it could be the thing that kills wherever you're trying to be. So,
Mhm.
um, so it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things when eh, we're all small businesses in some form or fashion, and sometimes we have to do the nitty gritty and the things that we don't want to do or don't feel like doing,
Yeah.
but those are the little things that propel you ahead.
Yes.
The things that go unnoticed in many cases. Like these are the things that don't, what they say in sports, they don't show up on the score sheet. They don't
Mm.
show up on the stat sheet, but they're the intangibles that all businesses, and you need people on your team who just will jump in and do it. Like I got this, and with a good
Yeah.
attitude, a good
It's so
attitude. So
it's so important. The thing that you said that really kind of caught me as you were saying that was the things that don't show up on your stat sheet. Um,
yes,
and sometimes it's the things that even we don't count, like
yep,
for ourselves. And they go
yep,
unnoticed until someone does. And then suddenly we're like, huh, maybe if I'd have
hmm,
been paying a little bit more attention to that all the way along, I wouldn't be so sour right now. Like
right,
I get that
right,
moment sometimes where I'm like, huh, you're
yeah,
right. Like for example, personally, this is maybe oversharing, but I grew up really, really poor. And I feel really bad sometimes when I stumble and I get like roadblocks that really kind of put me in my place and stop me in my tracks. And I feel like
hmm,
I can't accomplish everything I'm trying to accomplish. And like, why isn't it enough? And these difficult questions. And, I worry about like, is it enough for my family? And I'm push and push and push. And then I think
right,
my kids have never known that level of like poor that I came out of.
hmm,
And I forget that. I just
yeah,
forget that sometimes because I get so stuck where I am in the moment and the difficulties I'm facing in the moment that one little thing I lose sight of that. And for me, that it's a helpful aha thing that I come back
yeah.
to once in a bit because it just
That alone
reminds
is
me.
success right there, right? That
Mm-hmm.
alone, is a measure of success. If you
Right.
can leave, it's just that simple. Leave the earth a better place than you found it.
Yeah.
If you can leave your kids and your next generation in a better position than you were, you've done your job. I mean,
Yeah.
you really have done your job. I mean, that's what life is really about. And
It's
it's
a
so unfortunate that some of these things that we talk about personally, they're the same thing in business.
yeah.
And I mean, because businesses are still run by people. As much technology as we have,
Exactly.
they're still run by people, and it's people
Exactly.
who impact and drive that. So if
Yeah.
you can leave another human being in a better place than you found them, that's success. I
Yeah.
mean, you can throw all the other stuff in there, but it's those intangible things that don't show up on the stat sheet that are what help you, help someone. So,
Yeah,
and if
because
you're willing to do those things, it's great.
I think at the end of the day, we all experience stuff just not going our way, right?
Right,
And we can
right,
count that. That adds up easy.
right,
It's so weird
right,
how that column seems to add up so
right,
easy. You know,
right,
like,
right.
oh, I can put this in there, I can put that in there. This didn't go my
Yeah,
way, that didn't go my way. Everything's falling apart.
yeah,
Like it's easy. It's easy
yeah.
to put stuff on that
But it's
list.
like that little twist in how you think is to
Mm-hmm.
say, you know what? 99 things didn't go my way today, but one did.
Yeah.
And if you use that one as your foundational piece for your day, man, that little twist right there, it's small.
Yeah.
It seems, insignificant, but that, I'm gonna build off of my one win,
Yeah.
not let my 99 losses crush me.
I think
So,
that's
I mean,
one of the reasons why it's so important for companies to have their why, their
yeah.
core, so well thought out and just like well
Hmm.
written and
Yep.
codified, because like
Yep.
any step toward that counts, right? Like
Right.
every step toward that counts, big or small.
Right.
And
Right.
we sometimes lose sight of that, and when we lose sight of that, but the bucket of like stuff not going my way keeps being piled
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
that's whenever that is so important to have that crystal clear, because that's
But
how
that's an
you kind of
important
get traction.
exercise.
Hmm.
That's an important exercise. As we talk about, obviously, I always have to throw in, yes, we do marketing, we do branding, we do creative, but as I just said a minute ago, all these things are centered around dealing with people.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes we as people need reminders of why we're doing what we're doing. So I think a good exercise for companies when we talk about mission statements and vision statements, like how often are you revisiting that? How often are you
Mm.
discussing your why, your mission, your vision?
Right.
How often are you like trying to poke holes in it and say, hey, can we do this is our core, but can we do this just a little bit better? And if we did
Right.
this just a little bit better, where would we be? So
Yeah.
when it's those type of things that as a business, as companies, because again, we're human, like you just said, and we get so much stuff thrown at us on a regular basis. Sometimes we need to have somebody help us revisit why we're doing the things that we're doing. Ground us.
Hmm.
Just bring us back home.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's a good exercise for companies to do that. Like, I mean, I
100%.
don't know. I don't know if there's a rule as to how often you should do it, but just think if
Sure.
you maybe quarterly just said, you know what, and it's going to get monotonous. People are going to be like, yeah, we always go over our mission and our vision. Well, now we can determine whether we're really living the life that we talk about.
Yeah.
So,
But that's
and
another
and I
good
think that's
reason
what
to
you can
make it
gain out of it.
fresh. I think Amazon
Absolutely.
is a company that I've been inside the warehouse that's down here in was that Ruskin?
Gibson, sir. Yep,
Gibsonton?
Robson. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And like the culture everywhere on the walls, here,
Mhm.
there, in that little conference room, walking down that
Mhm.
aisle. And a friend of mine owns a decor company, and he's been contracted a number of times. And I've actually gone in at late at night to help him put up some of the decor so that when the new shift comes in, they see it. They
Mhm.
change out their decor regularly to keep
Yep.
it fresh, because yeah,
Yep.
those things can get old, but if they're who
Yep.
you are, they're who you are.
They're who you are. Yeah. I mean, it's the foundation that you use to build your house, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you got a bad foundation. The walls are going to be bad. The windows are going to be bad. The roof is going to be bad. So if you build bad on top of a bad foundation,
True.
it's only going to fall down at some point.
Yeah.
Those good foundational elements, your mission, your vision, holding yourself to them, are what will hold your company up, through the good times and through the bad times. And that's one of the things that really is so
Mm-hmm.
important. Managing people and money and things when things are good, that's easy. Anybody can do that.
Right.
Managing those things when it's tough, when you're dealing with a bad economy, when you're dealing with coronavirus, when you're dealing with pandemics, the true test of your character comes.
When
Well,
you're
how do you
staring
manage
immovable
people?
objects in the face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how do you manage during those times?
Mm-hmm.
During those times, you go back to your core, go back
Mm.
to your fundamental pieces, and that's what will get you through it. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying you're not going to, hit some rough patches.
Sure.
But when your foundation is strong, everything else, that's on top of that foundation, it'll continue to stand.
I think that's one of
So,
the challenging things when we sit down, when somebody asks us, when we do a logo design, and they ask
hmm
us, hey, can you do a logo design? We don't like to just do quote logo designs. We like to like help
right,
someone start their brand.
yep,
Because it's a very different thing. The kind of stuff that we're talking about now, when you need to leverage them 5 to 10 years later, because
yep,
you're facing all the things that we're talking about, like
yep.
that's what we try to help people prep for by giving them the language like ahead of time. And I think that just gets missed sometimes.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and I think the reason why it gets missed is because, I think there is a company for everyone. I was thinking about this before
Hmm,
we got on. It is, how can, let's say, a Ford Toyota make a car that
yeah,
charges $30,000, and let's say Mercedes makes a car that charges $100,000. They do the same thing, right? They
get you
get you
from
from
point A to
point A
point
to
B.
they get,
Yeah.
but they have
Yep.
audiences in those price ranges, meaning
Mm-hmm.
that there is an audience for that $30,000 car, which is why it exists. There's
True.
an audience for that $100,000 car, which is why it exists. If there was no audience for it, they wouldn't make it. So the key, when we talk about, like, we talked about logos, for example, there is somebody who will design your logo for $75 and say, "Yep, gave you a $75 logo. Here you go. Get on my face." There
Right.
is someone who will charge you $15,000. They do the same thing, right? You can put them on a business card, you can put them
Right.
on a sign, you can put them on a shirt, but
Functionality. Yeah.
the functionality, the emotional connection is
That.
what sets them apart.
Yes.
Same thing with a $30,000 Ford versus a $100,000 Mercedes. It's
Mm-hmm.
the emotional connection that someone has to that $100,000 car that makes them spend more on something that does the exact same thing. So, with that being the case, as a business, find your audience.
Yes.
In those two examples, all I'm saying is that, hey, there is an audience for both. You have to find your audience and build your brand around who you want to talk to.
Yep.
So, and the more successful you are at building your brand around who your audience is, it's just going to be that much easier for you. Mercedes has built their brand off of people who say, "I want luxury, I'm willing to pay more, this, whatever the
Mm-hmm.
case." And Ford has built their brand on saying, "Hey, people want, economy, economical, uh, construction with the pickup truck, things like that." And they
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
both are fine. They're both successful.
Well, you
So,
were you were talking earlier, kind of before we got on. We were just kind of throwing some ideas around, and you were talking
mhm,
about how to stay on the level. When you're
right,
spreading, when you're spread thin, or you're taking off, or you're being stretched. Um,
right, right.
2 minutes left. What advice do
Expand
you
on that.
have? Yeah.
Yeah, the core values.
Okay.
I mean, that really is it.
Heart and soul,
Stick.
front and center.
Have core values that you really believe in. Don't have core values that you say, "Oh, this just looks cool," but I don't really believe in. Have principles that are centered around what I said earlier, leaving this world a better place than you found it. I mean, leave people in a better place than when you found them. Because here's the thing, what's going to happen is you probably aren't going to see the results, the benefits of it right away.
Hmm.
I mean, and some people will appreciate it and some people won't, but that's okay. But what's going to happen throughout that process is that as make others around you better, you're going to get better and you're going to start to see blessings. You're going to start to see opportunities that come your way that would not have come your way had you not tried to uplift and empower people around you. So
Yeah.
that's been for our business specifically, we were talking about this. I never feel like we sell products. That's
Hmm.
not what we do. I could care less about the product I sell you. The product can
Hmm.
be a website, the product can be a social media campaign, the product can be a print piece. I really don't
Yeah.
care about that. What I care about is, did I do everything I can to educate you, to give you something better that you didn't have before you had a conversation
Right.
with
To
me?
step you up to
And
the
it
next level, wherever you go from there.
exactly.
Yeah.
And in some cases, me doing that, I don't get a sale. In some cases,
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
and that's okay. And
Sure.
I am perfectly okay, because what I know will happen is, what I've done in that situation is, even if I've given you a bunch of information and you don't choose to do business with me, I've
Hmm.
left you in a better place than you were before you had a conversation with me, which means that I've upped my trust level with you. You
Hmm.
now trust me because it wasn't about just the money. The money this is something that Simon Sinek says all the time. The money is not can't be the reason why you do things.
Yeah.
It is merely the result of why you do what you do.
Right.
So, money can't be your reason. Money can be your result. It can't be the reason.
Right.
So just with that, it's leave people in a better place than you found them. You will get the opportunity. It may not come back to you directly,
Yeah.
but it will come back indirectly. And I'm a true believer of that's the reason we've been in business 15 years, because we've gone through those ups and downs,
Yeah.
but we've always helped people. I don't
And
really care what it is, whatever we can do, I'm going to help.
and when you have those moments where like things are difficult as a company and you're feeling stressed or you're struggling, you always
Yeah.
have that to hang your hat on. And then
Oh yeah.
once in a while, like 6 months after the fact or a year and 6 months after the fact, you get that
Yeah.
call where somebody says,
Absolutely.
oh hey, by the way, thank
Absolutely.
you, because that was there
Absolutely.
for us in a time when we needed it most, and we
Absolutely.
just we took your advice, hit the ground running, and did our thing, and we haven't been able to look back yet, but we just
Right.
stopped and wanted to say thank you. I've recently had one of those conversations with someone, and it feels good because you sow and you pour
Uh,
and you push and you don't know, but like what you're saying is so important
hmm
because in the middle of your own kind of places where you're at, like you have your core values, heart and soul, front and center, and you live by
Right.
that, then at the end of the day, like if that's how you measure success, then you have those key moments to refer back to to give you that internal peace as you push forward.
Right.
And then once in a
Right.
while
Right.
somebody comes along and helps you with a, oh hey, by the way, you really helped us, and that feels
You
good.
got to be in it. Yeah, you got to be in it for the long run.
Yep.
This is why, people talk about marketing. Yeah, marketing, there are some things that are gimmicky.
Yeah.
Gimmicky people and gimmicky campaigns don't last. Genuine
Yeah.
people, authentic people last.
Yep.
So, you know, what I think the core in 2021 is be the most authentic person you can be. You don't have to be gimmicky to be successful.
Yeah.
Gimmicks they work short term. They
Yeah.
don't
They
work
do.
long term because the
Yeah.
problem is people can see through them.
And they get
At
tired,
some point, they
and
get
if that's
tired of
all
them.
you
They don't
had.
want it. They want something genuine.
Mm-hmm.
So, all
All
right,
right,
man.
brother.
Well, I think that's
I think that's
I
a
think
wrap.
that's
It's a
more than
good
enough.
video.
All right,
I
bro.
appreciate you helping make the time to keep us consistent.
I'm gonna do it. I tell you. Remember we talked about the last time accountability partners? I got you.
I gotta say thanks for watching screen. So I'm gonna throw it up, and we're
Let's
gonna
do it.
say peace out.
See ya. All right, man.